الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, praise be to God, there is no God besides God. I wonder if the rest of the hotel cleared out. So a lot of people have walked up to me and asked, what am I talking about today? I'm talking about some very important things. I'm talking about perfect health, wealth, and happiness, insurance, 4 meats, admission tests. I thought I'll just put it all in a big ball and just lob it over to all of you guys. No. I'm going to talk about something that, incidentally, we've talked about in Masjid in the last 4 or 5 weeks, twice. A few weeks ago, Wami talked about it. He talks about the cereal box and trusting that there's cereal in the box. You open it up, it's Cocoa Puffs and not Raisin Bran because that's what the box says. And then Human talked about it. And I was like, man, all these guys are talking about my topic. What am I going to do? So I was like, should I revise it? Should I keep going? But I think it's important for me to talk about this. And the reason is I realized in the last few months that I wasn't trusting in God. Yeah, there's no doubt God is able to do everything and anything. And we read the Quran and we see the examples and it's amazing. But I realized I wasn't trusting Him. And it's not just God. I have a trust issue with everything and everyone. But I was honestly extending that to God. And I was like, this is not right. So I said, in the Quran, God tells us, in God, the believer shall trust. Why? Right? The definition of trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, strength, or ability of someone or something. So what I want to do today is go through these attributes and firm up that belief in each and every one of them. The definition says this, or that. I want to firm it up on this, and that. So let's look at reliability. What does it mean? Reliability means dependable. Someone you can depend on. The opposite of reliability is unreliable, meaning untrustworthy, undependable, irresponsible. And we know who that is. In 4:120, it says, He promises them and entices them. What the devil promises is no more than an illusion. So anything from the devil is unreliable. We know that. At this point, I would have showed you a nice GIF, but we don't have a screen. It was a trust fall of this lady with her co-workers doing this and getting ready to fall, and all of a sudden they all see these and they walk away, and then she falls down. Since we don't have a screen, I'm going to be describing what I was going to project. Believers depend solely on God for anything and everything. In 28:24, this is Moses. He watered for them, then turned to the shade, saying, My Lord, whatever provision you send to me, I am in dire need for it. So imagine, Moses just left his home in a palace in Egypt, in a civilized society, walks through the desert, sees these people, waters for them, and what does he say? God help me. He could have easily walked up to the 2 women, hey, you know what, I need some food, or something. You have some water, I got you water, give me some food. That's what I would have done. But look at what he's doing. He's imploring solely God. And in 40, verse 60, it says, Your Lord says, implore me and I will respond to you. Surely those who are too arrogant to worship me will enter Jahannam forcibly. And the footnote tells us, supplication, imploring God for anything, even material luxuries, is a form of worship. Hence the commandment to implore God whenever we have any need. An atheist will never implore God for anything. What does this verse tell us? Rely solely on God. Be completely dependable on God. Whatever it is that you need, God is the one who will provide it for you. In 51:58, God says, God is the provider, the possessor of all power, the supreme. So to rely on anyone or anything else simply displays a lack of trust in God. And we have an example of this. In 12:42, it says, he then said to the one who to be saved, it's talking about Joseph, in case somebody doesn't know, but I doubt that. He then said to the one to be saved, remember me at your Lord. Thus the devil caused him to forget his Lord, and consequently he remained in prison a few more years. Look at that. He talked to this guy, help me out. 2 more years in prison. Because the dependence wasn't solely on God. So how do we establish this firm belief in the reliability of God? Well, in 11:6, God tells us there's not a creature on earth whose provision is not guaranteed by God. And he knows its course and its final destiny. All are recorded in a profound record. So if you watch shows, Discovery shows, Planet Earth shows, and you see anything from tiny insects all the way to whales, and the way they seek food, and food is provided to them in the time that they need it. And then you have, in the animal kingdom, various feast activities where there will be months of scarcity, and then there's an abundance. And God says, I provide for them, for each and every one of them. We know from the Quran about the creation of the earth and this universe. 2 days to make everything, 4 days to calculate provisions. 4 days. That's how much time and effort went into calculating every grain of rice that every one of you will eat, from birth to death. Every morsel of your food is calculated. Every penny that enters your pocket is calculated. So why would you rely on anyone else for anything? In 6:151, I'm not going to read the whole verse, but it says, you should not kill your children from fear of poverty. We provide for you and for them. This is such a great example that it's not even your own kids that you're providing for. You think, you get up in the morning, go to work, commute, go get there, work 8 hours, come back, get a paycheck, here, kids, here's something, I don't like it. But that's not you. It just happens, right? God provides. And then other than provisions, what else do we rely on God for? In 4:132, to God belongs everything in the heavens and the earth, and God is the only protector. So let me talk about protection. Let me talk about buying protection. Purchasing. So we know that if I was to go out and buy a policy and say, hey, protect me, protection doesn't come from there, protection comes from God. And I want to give out some specific examples that we in our community in San Jose, for those of you who aren't aware, in San Jose have witnessed. There was one of our own had an accident and racked up some bills, hospital bills, no insurance, about $200 and some $1,000. Do you know what happened? I was in the hospital room with them when they came to sell him insurance. Sign here. Get out of here. All of those bills disappeared. This is not, I'm not making this up. I saw this. Another one of our gentlemen had a similar incident. It just happened very close to each other. Because there are certain lessons that were taken when I told them to, in any case. Similar incident, ends up in the hospital, $20-some thousand later, walks out. They try to sell him to, hey, sign here. He said, no. Disappeared. So now you tell me who did that. I know that the hospital wouldn't do that. That's revenue to them. But somehow, somewhere, it happened. So now, When God says 132, to God belongs everything in the heavens and the earth, and God is the only protector. Who is going to run out here and buy some protection? Who wants to? And in 39:36, this question, is God not sufficient for his servant? How profound is this question? Not only do we see examples from the Quran, we see examples in our lives. Is God not sufficient? The next thing in that list of definitions was truth. 84. He said, the truth, this is the truth, and the truth is all that I utter. And I want to read a bunch of verses here. I'm going to go through this real quick. 2:119. We have sent you with the truth as a bearer of good news, as well as a warner. That was 2:119. 4:170. O people, the messengers come to you with the truth from your Lord. I'm not reading the whole verse, just where it says this. 7:159. Among the followers of Moses, there are those who guide in accordance with the truth, and the truth renders them righteous. 7:181. Among our creations, there are those who guide with the truth, and the truth renders them righteous. 17:105. Truthfully, we sent it down, and with the truth it came down. 25:33. Whatever argument they come up with, we provide you with the truth and a better understanding. 35:24. We have sent you with the truth, a bearer of good news, as well as a warner. 43:86. None of those whom they idolize beside him possess any power to intercede unless their intercession coincides with the truth and they fully know. There's a trend in all of these verses. Did you catch it? Did you catch the trend? No? The truth. One truth. It's not many truths. It says, we sent you down with many truths. No, it doesn't say that. We sent you down with multiple versions of the truth. It doesn't say that either. It's not my truth, your truth, everybody's truth. It's one truth, the truth. That's what it says. So this is a new thing I heard recently. Well, we're all looking at the same verses, so we can have multiple truths. That completely goes against what the Quran says. Repeatedly, it says the truth. And it becomes our job, our responsibility to get to that truth. You may not have it, but that doesn't mean you become comfortable with it and say, yep, I'm good. My truth, your truth, everybody's truth, we're all good. No. At this point, I was going to show you a picture. I had a picture of a brick wall. 61:4, God loves those who fight in his cause, united in one column like the bricks in one wall. So imagine a wall with bricks. They all look exactly the same. The point being, they're all on the same page. And the mortar is the truth that holds them together. And then I was going to show you another picture. This picture I found of this wall of glass bottles. Okay, so there's mortar that had pieces of bottles put together, some were brown, some were yellow, some were white, some were blue, some were green, whatever. To me, that is that wall of multiple truths. My truth, your truth, we're all snowflakes, we're all individual. What happens at that point when you're faced with a wall like this? So Satan, he's like, so let's go back to that first wall. Here's Satan. Let me through, can't. It's one front. Where's the other one? There's a bottle here, broken. Now I can get through. Why? Because it's multiple truths. That's how it is when you have many different versions of the same thing versus one. And then God tells us, how do we establish this firm belief in the truth that God has provided us? It's right there in 74:31. In the number 4, it says to remove all traces of doubt from the hearts of Christian Jews as well as the believers. God sent down this book with the encryption, with the key, with the code, so that you know it's the truth. When you get an email from your boss, it's not like, I don't know who this came from. Let me go ask everybody. Did you send it? Did you send the email? No, it's encrypted. You know it came from your boss. Okay, I'm going to read it. I'm going to do what it says. God proves to us that he is the most reliable and the truthful one through the lessons that he teaches us in the Quran and the ones that we see around us. And I think with that, I'm going to break and repent. Tubulullah. Alhamdulillah. La ilaha illallah. Praise be to God. There is no God but God. All right, moving on. There's two more that I want to talk about in the definition of trust. This one we'll get through real quickly. Strength. How do we establish the firm belief in God's strength? Repeatedly in the Quran, God says He's the Almighty. So many times He says Almighty. But invariably, He says that He's Almighty, most wise. Why? As powerful and as strong and as almighty that He is, He also has the wisdom to know when to use and when to not use His might. Versus human beings who think they're so powerful. You give power to a human being, and all of a sudden he just uses it left, right, and center without thinking. In 3:18 it says, God bears witness that there is no God except He, and so do the angels, and those who possess knowledge, truthfully and equitably, He is the absolute God. There is no God but He, the Almighty, most wise. Oh, yeah. So then He gives us examples in the Quran. 9:69, some of those before you were stronger than you and possessed more money and children. They became preoccupied with their material possessions. Similarly, you have become preoccupied with your material possessions, just like those before you have become preoccupied. If you look at history, if you watch History Channel or one of these shows and they're talking about the pyramids or they're talking about something someone built back then and how did they do it, this is amazing. I mean, I recently saw something about the pyramids and how they're aligned and the square footage and the alignment with this star and that. I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And God tells us they were more powerful than you. But where are they? Gone. That power is gone. And in 28:78 he says, He said, I attained all this because of my own cleverness. Did he not realize that God had annihilated before him generations that were much stronger than he and greater in number? The annihilated transgressors were not asked about their crimes. So strength. God has given us examples of powerful nations who have ceased to exist. And God says they're more powerful than you are. There are things about history, about monuments that we still don't know how they were built. But there's no one to answer those questions because they're gone. And they were considered powerful in their time. And God says He is the Almighty. There's a verse in the Quran, God says, when the retribution comes, He says, all it takes is one nudge. There's some people here, if they give me one nudge, yeah, it means something. But not everybody can just do one nudge and it means anything. 1974, many a generation have we annihilated before them. They were more powerful and more prosperous. Again and again and again, we hear about those who are more powerful, those who are strong. And they have disappeared, they've been annihilated. By who? By the Almighty. As powerful as they were nothing compared to what God is, what God can do. And His strength and His power. And then lastly, I want to talk about ability. This one is a little bit longer. So I want to leave this one for last, because this has the most profound examples for us in the Quran. And I want to start with this one, 2:117. The initiator of the heavens and the earth, to have anything done, He simply says to it, be, and it is. Think about that ability. Be, and it is. In 28:7, we inspired Moses' mother, nurse him. And when you fear for his life, throw him into the river without fear or grief. We will return him to you and will make him one of the messengers. Imagine this. A new mother puts a baby in a basket, puts him in a river full of crocodiles and other issues, other things and whatever, food, right? But the confidence that this lady had, he'll come back to me. Look at all the things that God planned and worked in a way, the currents, the bank, the fact that he landed right on the banks where Pharaoh's wife was. Look at that ability. The ability to plan in such a way, to command the waters, to command the crocodiles. No, you're not going to touch them. And then look at this again, 26:62 through 68. He said, no way. My Lord is with me, He will guide me. This is Moses. What's happening? The situation. He's standing on the shores of the Red Sea, with an army behind him with the promise to kill him and everybody with him, and a sea in front of him. There's no boats. Nobody's going to swim that. And he says what? He's like, you know what, guys, let's just give up, let's just pack it, wrap it up, let's go. He doesn't say that. He says, no way. Because some guy was saying to him, behind him, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? We're going to die. He's like, no. My Lord will guide me. He'll show me the way. And then what does God do for him? He parts the sea for him. Imagine that guy who was yapping away behind him. What are we going to do? And go, oh, okay. $21.68, they said, burn him and support your gods if this is what you decide to do. We said, oh, fire, be cool and safe for Abraham. Now imagine, they're taking Abraham to this massive fire. You think about how Abraham is going. He's either going, no, I don't want to go. Or he's like, let's go. He goes in there, thrown in there, and he's just fine. He's cool. He's safe. And who was reading for me a Bible? I think you were reading a Bible verse for me, where basically he's hanging out in there in a nice little garden almost. This is the ability of God. This one, 19:24-25. The infant called her from beneath her, saying, do not grieve. Your Lord has provided you with a stream. If you shake the trunk of this palm tree, it will drop ripe dates for you. Eat and drink and be happy. When you see anyone say, I have made a vow, silence, I am not talking today to anyone. She came to her family carrying him. They said, oh, Mary, you have committed something that is totally unexpected. O descendant of Aaron, your father was not a bad man, nor was your mother unchaste. She pointed to him. They said, how come you talk with an infant in the crib? The infant spoke and said, I am a servant of God. He has given me the scripture and has appointed me a prophet. He made me blessed wherever I go and enjoined me to observe the contact prayers and the obligatory charity zakat for as long as I live. I am to honor my mother. He did not make me a disobedient rebel. And peace be upon me the day I was born, the day I die, and the day I get resurrected. Now, this is a baby. This is not a toddler. This is a newborn baby. You have a newborn baby here? Yes. Oh, yes. Leon. Maybe you should pick him up, like the Leon King. And imagine if he started speaking. Daddy, I'm hungry. I don't know why he's a British baby. But if he was to say that, you would be doubly amused or surprised. But this is what God made this baby do. A baby is talking to them. We think about it, we read it, we glance over, yeah, Jesus said this, but we don't think about this new. How many of you have held a newborn? All the guys are like, oh, nope. But think about it, a newborn all of a sudden turns and says something to you. This is the ability of God. And then Jesus continues, example of Jesus, 3:49. As a messenger to the children of Israel, I come to you with the sign from your Lord. I create for you from clay the shape of a bird, then I blow into it and it becomes a live bird by God's leave. I restore vision to the blind, heal the leprous, and I revive the dead by God's leave. I can tell you what you eat and what you store in your homes. This should be proof for you if you are believers. So much going on in here. Heal the leprous, right? Imagine the leper guy. Jesus went to him, did something, and what happened? He's healed. A clay bird, We've all played with Play-Doh. I've made many things. It never came to life. But imagine he made this little bird, a little clay bird, and it became a live bird. This is the ability of God. And then the dead. This guy is dead. There's not an affliction worse than death. It's not reversible. Jesus saying, okay, show me the dead guy. No, he dead. And then, so they're like, he does something, well, I don't know what. And then the guy wakes up and they go, oh. I can't even imagine what the dead guy was thinking. I was dead. What more proof of God's abilities do we need before we wholeheartedly submit and trust Him? This is a question more for me than anyone else, really. We implicitly trust our friends, our family, our parents. If I was to go to Zeb and say, "Hey, I want this," and he says, "Yeah, I get it done. Trust me." I trust him. So the question we have to ask ourselves: can he not cool whatever fire you face? It's a good question. He did it for Abraham. Can he not heal whatever afflicts you? Dead guy. That's irreversible. There's nobody doing research. This guy's dead, let's bring him back. Tax dollars at work. No, that's not happening. Can he not shower you with the treasures he showered Solomon with? I only have $10. Oh, I'm working so hard. Yeah, come. When you're meant to have it, if you're meant to have it, if you can handle it, it will come. So the next time you stand in front of your sea with an army behind you and nowhere to go, you look the devil in the eye and you say to him, "No way. My Lord is with me." Then watch him wither away because you trust in the Almighty Most Wise. Afim as-salam.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Allahu Akbar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawm ad-Din. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له السلام عليكم السلام عليكم